What's up, everybody? Excuse me. This is Wiley here again, back for part 6, I believe. Loading up the city here. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a harder mission, but I want to do two quick things first. The first thing I'm going to be doing is just heading into a random house here. I've already scouted this out. I'm looking for clay. I'm going to need a couple of crafting ingredients to craft a couple of specialized spells that I need. So I'm just going to run into this house here. Now, clay was unlocked when I completed that achievement, which was to find a stash in a townhouse. So clay can now be found in any vase. These are marble stands, not vases, but this here is a vase. So I just hack that down and bam, got myself a piece of clay. It's that easy. There are actually 3 vases in that room. So I found them, I've had trouble finding them occasionally, but sometimes they drop a little more, or they spawn a little more frequently, so not too hard to find. Alright, the second thing I want to get, being a little reckless here, just trying to move quickly. The second thing I want is a walnut. I actually need a few walnuts. Walnuts can easily be found in abandoned towns. And it's kind of hard to tell which trees are walnuts. If you pause the game, you can hover over and see. So both of these are walnuts here. And by destroying them, I can just grab a couple of walnuts. I also got some cedar there. I don't think I've found too many uses for that yet, but I'm sure there are some. So now that I have those items, I also earlier on I went and got a sapphire just from a gem vein. So I'm going to go ahead and craft a plasma bolt and splashback. Alright, and I can actually craft tier 2 of plasma bolt, but I'm not going to do that yet, and you'll see why soon. Another thing I want to do, which somebody commented that I should probably upgrade my health, and it's definitely a good idea. I'm going to upgrade my max mana too, but not my attack, and you'll see why soon. Okay, so I've got a ton of upgrades done, so that should be good. So I'm going to go ahead... well, I'm going to leave my spell bar alone for the moment because I do have to make it to the mission. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and actually going to go ahead and do this mission even though it doesn't give me the opal. It's just Welkin Gel. Welkin Gel can only be earned from completing missions, so it's sort of worth doing missions that give you a lot of it. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and head right into the room here. Actually, before I do that, looks like I don't have the option to leave. Well, let's go ahead and warp out of the area, because I do want to check something out. Okay, cool. I can go back in. I wasn't sure. So before I go into the mission, I just want to look around here and take note of the monster types. Alright, so we've got the robots. That's our monster theme. We've got robots, we've got icicle leapers. So that's going to be all the classes of robots. And the reason I'm taking note of which enemies appear in this area is the mission's going to involve killing enemies that are not native to the region. So if I can figure out which enemies are native to the region, I can save myself a little bit of trouble. So I've gotten a little bit of information just from glancing around there. I'm not seeing any other enemies. I'm sure there are some around, but for the sake of time, I'm going to move on. So I'm going to head back into the mission. Alright. Find the entrance door, which has got to be around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Wow, it really blends into the wall. It's a little tricky. So before I head in, I'm going to equip the 2 spells I just made. I've got Splashback and Plasma Bolt. Plasma Bolt does very little damage. Both of them do. Plasma Bolt is going to be what I use to kill enemies, and Splashback is going to be for if they get too close to me, to kind of push them back. So what's going on in this mission is... I have to kill monsters that are not native to the region. So we can see right there I've got a robot, which is a native, and a dust cloud, which is not. I'm trying to stay invincible for as long as possible here because this gets dangerous. So I can't hurt the robot. In fact, all damage that I hit him with is going to be just reflected at me immediately. So I have to find a way to just sort of snipe the dust cloud. Well, maybe I'll have to come around to the other side. So I'm gonna be, whoops. Alright, so that's exactly what you don't want to do. You don't want to end up in an area where you're just gonna get slaughtered by natives, because you can't attack them, so it's really easy to have happen. This is why I kept saying I was dying a lot on this mission, because you just, after a while, it'll start to wear you down. Okay, now I don't think this is native. No, it's not. It's a jellyfish, comes from sea regions. A lot of times it's pretty easy to recognize which monsters aren't native, just because you'll know since you've been exploring a little bit. Sometimes you'll see monsters you've never seen before, and it can be a big clue right there. Okay, I like the background here, by the way. It looks like the really old TARDIS back from like 70s era Doctor Who. If you've ever seen that. And if you never have, then shame on you. Alright, so let's continue to move through here. I kind of like how it just bounces off their head like that. So it's obviously labeling all the spots where the enemies are, but I'm really trying to work around the edges and be really careful, just because I know if I end up in the wrong spot, it could kill me pretty quickly. Alright, see these guys, I don't even know if I've seen one of those yet outside this mission. There's a clockwork probe. I've seen those once or twice in my other world, but yeah, they're kind of rare. I think you actually have to kill a certain number of light espers maybe before they generate it all. Okay, this is a tricky room. Now this guy, okay, now. It's also not a native. Nice, so I'm doing pretty good here. I've got 5 monsters left, but you know, that's not a whole heck of a lot. I can probably take care of that. I am having trouble accessing the top. I see. Alright. This is gonna be tricky. Ooh, I may just have to sort of take a little bit of damage. Alright. Still at 292. Doing good. God, this area is tough to figure out where to go. It's just this one little passage. Alright, let me go ahead and take this guy out real quick. The reason I'm using these really low damage spells, I keep forgetting to use the title one, but the reason is if I were to accidentally hit a native monster, it would reflect the damage, and if I'm reflecting 50 points of damage at myself, I'm going to go down pretty fast. It's a good way to kill your first character. Just reflect a nice big 50 or 60 points of damage back on yourself. Okay, so one thing that can help me find... Oops, there's a rhino. He's just in a room full of bastards. Alrighty. Okay, got a little lucky with that. Got stuck there. So one thing that can help is I can look... I know that in this level, the robots are the ones I want to avoid, so anything walking on the floor is probably going to be something I want to avoid. Not necessarily, but probably. And things floating in the air are almost certainly going to be enemies that I want to kill. In fact, I don't think there are any robot era monsters that float, so if I could just find... I've only got 1 left. I'm so close here. Pretty impressed with my performance. Trying not to screw it up now. Alright, so I'm just gonna go ahead and check out all of these monsters. Oop, getting a little bit of lag, sorry about that. Of course, I can always destroy these boxes if I want to go through them. I'm just kind of going around, just for quickness' sake. Let's see here. Gotta be around somewhere. Come on, guys. Just show yourselves. Oh, I think no. See, sometimes the robots will sort of jump around. I think they're flying, but they're not. Maybe I'm missing another rhino somewhere or something. Oh, there he is. I see him now. He's an icicle esper. Finally. Whew, I was about to say. Okay. Let's just take him out real quick. And there we go. We got ourselves a victory. Everyone is now vulnerable. Got myself some orbs and some Welkin gel. And everything's perfect. So that's how you take care of one of those missions. And I think really the biggest key for that is, you know, you gotta just bite the bullet and take some health upgrades, because there's not enough monsters to sustain you most of the time. It's difficult to survive. And the other problem is you know, you have to make sure you're not dealing too much damage. You want to get these really low damage spells. There's actually another spell that requires you to find, I think it's really easy to get. All you need is some gems from a gem vein underneath a town, an abandoned town. It's these purple gems that you can get. Go ahead and pull it up right now. It's going to be a tier 1 spell. Yeah, Clinging Fetor. And this only does 10.5 damage. It's real small, real low, and it'll seek out the closest enemy. So it's not quite as much of just a pinpoint snipe as the spell I was using, but it is a really low damage spell. I think it's even lower damage than my current spell. So with that, take a look at I always like to take a look at my spells when I get back to the base. There's nothing really I want here except maybe Ice Cross, which isn't too bad to have. It's a Sapphire spell. Great, so I'm getting real close now. I can look at my planning button. I'm getting real close to being able to level up my civilization, so I'm pretty pumped about that. But I am going to start looking at making sure I've got all my spells tiered up, because once you hit tier 2, you know, you have to be careful about not progressing into tier 3 before you've got the correct spells. So I can even sort of look for ingredients for this stuff now. You know, I know I'm going to need magma for fireball. I know I'm going to need some clay. I've already got a ruby. This is just a tier 3 orb. And then energy orb 3 is a little more difficult, because I'm going to have to reach the caves in the ocean shallows, and chances are I won't be able to actually reach an area of ocean shallows yet. So I'm probably going to complete another mission and get myself almost to tier 2. And I'm going to make sure I have enough crafting materials and everything. And then I'm going to level up to tier 2. And I may end up filming that. I may not. But if I get to anything interesting, I'll make sure to capture it. And after I get to tier 2, we're going to start looking at buildings within the settlement. Some missions will allow you to build certain buildings, and then you can go ahead and rescue people who will work in the buildings, and they can grant you certain abilities, everything from unlocking missions, new rescue missions to rescue even more people, to they can give you extra fire damage, or they can push the wind back, which is probably the most useful and important spell. So there's a lot to do before I get to that point, but you know, I'll work at it slowly, and we'll get there eventually. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and thanks a lot if you've been watching and keeping with this series. I'm gonna try to keep it fast and interesting. Please comment, subscribe if you liked it. I really appreciate it, and I hope you'll watch again sometime. Peace.